Hi everyone, I'm going to do an example on interpreting the derivative. This is from section 2.2 from the Lumen homework. So this first one is just a Lumen question and people did pretty well on this. It says the function n of a gives me an output of number of items sold in a week when the company spends $A on advertising. And notice A is the input and the output is number of items per week. So if I want to interpret N of 3,644.49, it means that I'm spending, right, the input is A, number of dollars I spend on advertising, and the output is number of items sold per week. And that seemed pretty straightforward. So when I spend $3,644.49, I sell 694 items. Okay, so input dollars, output items. So now when we go to interpret, that little prime there says this is the derivative function. And when we have a derivative, the output is a rate of change. So I usually like to think about writing that as a fraction. This is change in output over change in input. So I'm still inputting the same A value in this case. So I'm still at the same, in fact, number, right? That's still dollars. But my output now is a rate of change in output over change in input. And in this case, my input is dollars on advertising, and my output is number of items sold. All right, so this says when I spend one more dollar, not for every dollar more, just one more dollar, I don't have a constant rate of change. So this rate of change, this derivative is only valid at this amount of money that I spent on advertising. It changes at every single dollar amount that I spent on advertising. So this says when I spend $3,644 on advertising, sales, okay, the number of items sold plus 51, if I raise advertising by only $1, not for every dollar, just a single dollar. So when I go from spending $3,644 to if I go to $3,645.49. All right, so let's look at this when you had to write a sentence. So I have the same function here, exactly the same, except you weren't given multiple choice. This says here, I'm looking, my input is A, and it gives me an output number of items sold. So I have the same input and output. So here when I look, it says write a complete sentence, and everyone did pretty good on this part. That's my input, that's my output. So when I spend $573 on advertising, I have sales of $7,450. So now though, I have the derivative function. My output is a rate of change. So if I write that 33 over 1, so I'm still at the same amount that I'm spending on advertising. I don't change my input, so I'm still just at that advertising spend. The derivative says, okay, that's the derivative. The derivative says for one more dollar spent, that's change in input, plus 33, I sell 33 more items. So it's not for every additional dollar spent, but I have to have all three pieces. I have to say what was my spend or my input level, $573, and then I have to translate this fraction, change in output over change in input, and I'm literally just, putting to words, my input is dollars spent on advertising, so plus 1. If I spend one more dollar in advertising, what happens to my output, and what does my output represent? It represents number of items sold. This is plus 33 items, so the units sold increases by 33.